actually started with my painting The Soul, realized 2 years ago when I worked under Rachmaninoff music, which really transformed me, and I felt really such emotions which I never could feel during creation inspired by music. It was something incredible, and I even cried during the process. Actually, the idea was to work on the subject of the soul, and as you can imagine, I asked me a question to myself: how is it possible to paint a soul? Because it's something that has no form. Actually, I think so. No color. In my opinion, it's something transparent. So how to paint the soul? Is it possible? So I started to think about it, and consciously I prepared myself for this research. I was on this topic. I was in this, and when everything was fixed, canvas, when I choose the color palette, everything, the music, the idea was to realize and to move during the process, to realize an abstract artwork, absolutely abstract. So I had no intention to draw something. So what was an amazing discovery when I found out 1 week after the artwork was finished, a gallery asked me to send them some pictures of the artwork and some close-ups. So during this photo session, first of all, at the photo, I noticed that I see something figurative in this abstract house. I was like, no, how it's possible? It's like an artifact, like something happened occasionally, unconsciously. And what I realized, it was a figure of a little child, boy probably, in the center of the space. So I was so much impressed by this discovery that I was like, how is it possible? Because I didn't even think, because I worked, I will explain, I worked with a huge brush. Sometimes I took a artist knife. So I didn't do it with a pencil, with a little brush. No, not at all. So I was so impressed, and I was so interested in this topic that I started to read a lot about unconscious, about spirituality in art, and everything I could find. It started from Freud, Kandinsky, and André Breton, and so on. And what's interesting that in all these amazing texts and artworks, I couldn't find out the results that I achieved occasionally, but I was pretty, but thanks to my eye, that I was able to notice, not to miss this, not to say like, it's nothing, because actually it's, of course, it's not something that happened only with me only. Even Rothko, during his work, yes, he noticed that some figurative objects appeared during his work, but he was not absolutely interested that I or the viewer catch these drawings, these images, because his idea was to work with color, and so he avoided any drawings, images in his works. He deleted it at once. Too sweet. But in my case, I was so amazed by this find out of this little boy on my abstract paintings, which appeared, which came out from my hand unconsciously, that I started to develop this approach. And actually this idea to experiment with feelings, to change a normal state of emotional state, and there are several things which are extremely important. How it's possible for me, according to my experience. First of all, it's music. Music enters our soul, our being, very quickly. It changes our state, our emotional state, our mind, everything. And so with music, it's possible to change our emotional state during the process of creation. Second thing is like artificial, but it's also very useful, like it was in my case, when we do something, especially to change, to switch our normal state of being. For example, I tried to paint with my feet. A bit later I discovered that Japanese artist has already worked last century this method, but he was not interested. Well, personally me, I experimented with this, but it was not something that touched me, and I wasn't really satisfied by the result. That was not what I'm looking for. So I came back to work with my hand, because I believe there is a direct connection with our cerebral, with our head. So I tried to work with another hand. I normally write with my right hand, so I tried to paint with my left hand. It was not comfortable for me, but the result was pretty interesting. So I keep in mind to come back to this approach sometime later. And for now, for this year, I work with my eyes closed, because it gave me really interesting feelings during the creation. It's also uncomfortable for me. It means that I switch my zone of comfort, first of all. Second thing, that being inspired by music, you feel like you lose your feet a little bit. So, and you don't know, it's risky. You feel risky. Don't know what will come out. because you are lost at this moment, and something another force which moves you, and that's extremely interesting for me. And when I realized a series of paintings made with my eyes closed, the result was pretty savage, wild, I don't know, but very, very real. I loved to work with natural linen, so I continue doing this. Like this series I made also on the linen. But this time for the series oasis, I came back to charbon. So this time we speak mostly about abstract drawings. I continue working with my eyes closed and with fusion charbon in my hand. Dancing. This time I came back to dancing. I love dancing because dancing like music, it's liberate, it gives you free feel of freedom, happiness, and so on. So you don't consciously decide what and how to draw. So my idea to experiment, to really give myself a full freedom during the creation, and not to control with my head, with my mind, my hands, what I do. So abstract drawings, but still I'm really excited to analyze and to interpret these drawings and painting afterwards. And always, almost always, I find something, some images, something that corresponds perfectly to the subject, to the music, and to my internal feelings. And I find that it's really incredible, because I could never realize these artworks being absolutely conscious with my eyes closed, and I couldn't even imagine these pictures in my head conscious. So that's something I believe that in our internal universe, it's like it's like our universe, but in universe. I can't wait how I want to show you the results of my work, and also I'm excited to communicate with you during opening, during the show, to know your feedback. Every time it's exciting for me, and I invite you to subscribe if you are not subscribed to my mailing list on my website ARISTOVA, and you will get a personal invitation to the exhibition, to the opening in September. And see you soon. Cheers. Bye bye.